and what's going on down there in DC. Matthew would tell us a little bit about the 912. And Matt Kibbe is the conservative answer to community organizing. So let's welcome Matt.
How many economics majors? How many poli-sci? How many? This is for my wife. How many engineers? Yeah. There it is. My wife claims that she's the one that got me through mathematical economics, which is actually true. But I wanted to talk about two things and maybe wrap them both together. The economics of healthcare reform, which is the debate we're having right now in Washington, D.C. And one of the articles I provided is just a straight-up economic analysis of why government involvement in healthcare sometimes leads to results other than what's intended or at least stated. And the other half of that is what my organization does and what we did with March on Washington, which is try to translate economics into English and engage real people in the debate.
Hello, my name is Lee Wishing, and I'm here with Matt Kibbe. I'm the Administrative Director at the Center for Vision and Values at Grove City College. And Matt Kibbe is a 1985 graduate of Grove City College, and he is the CEO of FreedomWorks. Matt is here tonight to speak at our Freedom Readers program, in which we try to teach students who don't have an opportunity to study economics, they're majoring in something else, and we try to teach them about economics through a lighthearted kind of way. Matt will talk about something he's written, an article that he's written about healthcare, and then explain the underlying economic principles. But first, Matt, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to have you, and Terry, your wife, who's also a Grove City grad here. Tell us, Matt, how did Grove City College influence you, and how did it get you to FreedomWorks? And then, if you would, tell us a little bit about FreedomWorks.
Sure, I'm very much a product of particularly the economics department here at Grove City College. My mentor, if you will, was Dr. Hans Senholz, who for many years was the head of the department here and an Austrian economist, which is not only free market in its outlook, but it is a certain way of looking at the world. Very much influenced me. I followed another Grove City graduate, Peter Betke, to George Mason.
Classmate of mine, yeah.
And Pete is now a very successful professor at George Mason University, but he convinced me to go to George Mason University. And my organization, FreedomWorks, was founded out of the Austrian economics program at George Mason University.
Okay.
And the idea was always quite simple, that you needed some way to translate academic ideas into something that real people could get their hands around and do something with. I like to say we try to get a 40-page white paper down to a bumper sticker.
We meaning FreedomWorks.
Yeah, FreedomWorks. But it's all based on a set of principles that I learned here at Grove City, and to this day, given my profession as a free market economist in the nation's capital, the Grove City brand opens doors with the people that I want to talk to.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? I didn't realize you'd be mentioning that, but that's a really good point. And I know when I first started working here, I was surprised at that.
Yeah.
It really does open doors. Could you give us a couple of examples?
There's a lot of, there's a lot of Grove City graduates in Washington, D.C., and I think starting back with the Supreme Court case in the early 80s, Grove City has a brand amongst conservatives inside the Beltway. They immediately know what that means. Oh, you went to Grove City College. So you didn't have to have the conversation about who you are and what you believed in. It was kind of a brand that I could go into interviews with, and I can say on more than a couple occasions it got me in the door and ultimately helped me get the job.
And if you look at a brand as a promise, and with Matt Kibbe would walk in with a Grove City College brand, it was especially an economics major, is that you understood how the world works from a common sense economics perspective, and that government intervention, as we see so today, doesn't really work all that well. Tell us a little bit about FreedomWorks.
Our job is to translate complex economic principles into plain English, and to recruit, educate, organize, however you want to say it. Our job is to engage people in the public policy debate. And not just in politics per se, but the issues that are going to affect our lives, like healthcare, like spending. And you're seeing more and more in public policy, it's not your ability to write a long white paper that convinces either people or the media or certainly legislators. It's your ability to engage real people in that conversation. So me as a trained economist, for example, I could testify before Congress and they would look at me quite cynically as a trained professional. And the people that agreed with me would say, Matt, that's great. The partisan opposition would say, you're just a paid hack, go away. If you take those same messages and have an individual, in fact, we had a postal worker in Washington State once. She was a single mom, and she sounded like John Galt or Howard Rourke speaking to the jury. And she was unimpeachable to both parties because she was credible. She had taken the day off, she had taken time to learn the issues, and we just think that real people are the right messengers to talk about freedom, to talk about limited government, to talk about how markets work.
Great. And if we could, we'll just close on what kind of advice do you have for students?
I think...
Oh, no, you don't. Let me back up.
Okay.
I want to ask you about a great thing you just did, the 9/12 March on Washington, then we'll close with some advice for students. Tell us about the 9/12 March on Washington that made so much news around the world. And Matt was the fellow that organized that.
We have a saying in our organization that government goes to those who show up. And we always try to get people to show up anytime there's a conversation about public policy. We felt that the threats to freedom and the economy and limited government were so great that we actually tried to organize a massive rally on the west front of the Capitol. And it exceeded everybody's expectations. We had over 800,000 people show up, and they marched literally from Freedom Plaza, which is by the White House, 1.2 miles all the way to the west front of the Capitol. And we held a 3-hour rally on the west front of the Capitol. But you can look on YouTube and see this amazing time-lapse video of 3 hours of people flooding that whole 7 lanes, 1.2 miles of Pennsylvania Avenue. Amazing turnout.
Tremendous, and thanks for your work on that. Congratulations. And this generation of college students coming up, we really can't afford to get beyond this group. Really, perhaps the future of America lies with this age group of students, and they're heading into a difficult world.
Yeah.
What kind of advice do you have?
Get involved in things that you have no training or expertise in. And what I mean by that is don't think that there's any barriers to you doing whatever you want to do. And particularly if you want to make a difference in public policy. It's all about entrepreneurship, just like it is in markets. Show up, get involved, and we really encourage young people to come work with FreedomWorks and organize people. And you'll discover that there's a lot more people in this country that care about their country and care about the future for their children and grandchildren. And it's a rewarding experience.
Matt Kibbe, class of '85 and CEO of FreedomWorks. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.